The only thing that we're interested in is putting money in your wallet. If you want to bet the fights, if you want to have a little bit of action, you are in the right place. With my partner, Ian Parker, I am Brett Okamoto.
We're ready to rock between our parlays, our props, our straight picks. It's time to make money. Let's go.
It is a big UFC pay-per-view fight weekend, and you know what that means. UFC Best Bets is on the road at the Seaport Studios here in lovely Manhattan. Here to talk about UFC 295, 2 title fights on this card, light heavyweight, interim heavyweight titles. And right there, you're looking at the Brooklyn Bridge. Now you're looking at myself, Brett Okamoto, and Mr. Ian Parker here in the studio. First time we've done this show in person together since Salt Lake City back in July. Good to see you, Ian. And as always, before we get to UFC 295, we will look back at last week. If you remember, last week we said the plan was, let's have a good week, and then let's get to New York and have an even better one at UFC 295. I think first things first, we got step 1 done, didn't we?
We did. You know what? We went 4-1 in our best bets with the bright spot Angela Hill at plus money. That one blemish was Bonfim losing the parlay, but we did say, and I went on record, if it gets out of round 1, take a life shot at Nicholas Dalby. We also hit our parlay. We hit our prop. We really had a great night. We almost swept the entire board if you follow all the picks in general. Now on to this week, Brett, you are right. We did what we said we were going to do. Leg 1 of our parlay with the show. 295, here we go.
We did, man. Very, very good work there on the UFC Fight Night down there in Brazil. So let's look at this UFC 295. We're going to start, as always, with the main card. You can find that on ESPN Plus pay-per-view, as usual, Saturday, 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. Light heavyweight championship fight between Jiri Prochazka and Alex Pereira. Very, very, very interesting stylistic matchup there. And in the interim heavyweight championship, we were supposed to have John Jones, Stipe Miocic. Instead, we have Sergei Pavlovich and Tom Aspinall. Plus, as always, it's a 5-fight main card, and we are going to be talking about this main event first. Jiri Prochazka and Alex Pereira. Wild, man. Alex Pereira, only 10 fights in mixed martial arts. This is going to be his 3rd championship fight in a different weight class. He can become a dual weight champion in just his 11th pro fight, taking on Jiri Prochazka, who looked like, obviously, the best light heavyweight about a year and a half ago, but then suffered the serious injury, but he is back. Off of a long layoff. Very, very close odds. Where did you see this fight sort of opening up at? Any surprises here with the betting line?
I'm surprised that it's actually this close. It doesn't take anything away from Jiri Prochazka. I just felt being out that long period of time with that type of shoulder surgery. For those of you that know, the surgery that he had, it was one of the worst shoulder injuries I think the sport's ever seen. And the fact that he's actually coming back in this time frame, from what I've heard from the medical staff, is actually really impressive. You know, you've seen him hit pads. He's not looking the same, but again, it could be for videos. We've seen guys do pads, and it means absolutely nothing. But for this fight, it's interesting because he's coming back against someone who, unlike Glover Teixeira, is not going to look to grapple. It's going to be a kickboxing fight on the feet. The question is, who is going to land that punch first? You know, with Jiri Prochazka, hands are low, very unorthodox. He spins this way, he spins that way, he jumps here, and he will give one to get one to give one, or the other way around, whatever works for him. He's crazy enough to do it. But he's been exciting. You know, in the Volkan Ozdemir fight, he was not winning until he landed. Then he came out and dominated Dominic Reyes. And the Glover fight, who would have thought he was going to win by sub, right? And then you look at Alex Pereira, who has we all knew if he was successful early in his career that he was going to be something special. Mm-hmm. He had the Israel Adesanya story, 205. Rebirth very early, and under Glover Teixeira, he just mentally is just a different type of person. The fight against Jan Blachowicz, he had to dig deep in round 1 where we thought it was a 10-8, but apparently it wasn't because of no damage really done. But he dug deep at 205 in the high altitude, and he got a big win. I think this is his fight as long as he can dictate the pace, as long as he can put a little bit more volume than we've seen him do. But I'm going to spin it. I'm going over 1.5 rounds. Even though I do think it's going to end at some point, for me, there's going to be hesitancy. I think Pereira is going to use the leg kicks a little bit. I think Jiri might grapple a little bit. We saw him do it against Glover, but let's go over 1.5 as our official play.
I really do like that pick. I can see that both these guys are obviously tremendously dangerous, can end it in a moment's notice, but I do think that there's going to be a little bit of feeling out process here, especially Jiri coming off of that layoff. It's interesting because we're talking about a guy in Alex who's moving up from middleweight, but speaking to these guys' camps, I actually think that Alex cut more weight. I got the sense, talking to Yuri's camp and Alex's camp, that Alex cut more weight for this fight, so he actually could be bigger than Jiri come this fight, which is, again, pretty remarkable since he's the one moving up. How high would you go if some of our listeners were looking to maybe push the envelope here? Would you look at over 2.5? Would you look at 3.5? Because I do think that this fight is I think we're gonna see some action here. I think it's not gonna end fast. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, I think the hesitancy, I think the patience, I think the feeling out is gonna definitely be a thing. I think Pereira is a little bit more of an IQ assassin as opposed to Jiri, who will come forward to figure it out. So it's definitely different styles, although both these guys are savages in their striking. I don't know if I'd go over 3.5. I think now we're getting greedy. Over 2.5, it's possible for a third round, fourth round, but I just think that the leg kicks from Pereira has got to be something here, because then it could stop the potential grappling of Jiri also. So I think we're getting a little greedy. Over 3.5, 2.5 might happen. I like the Pereira plus odds, though, for the TKO KO I saw on there as well.
Sure. I would be tempted to take a couple swings on some wider odds to go late in this fight. How about this interim heavyweight championship fight, Sergei Pavlovich versus Tom Aspinall? I ask you all the time, Ian, does the line surprise you? I'm going to beat you to it this time. The line surprises me. Tom Aspinall minus 120, Sergei Pavlovich plus 100. Had they had a full camp, I would be like, yeah, this line makes sense. Tom Aspinall found out about this fight less than 2 weeks ago. He was not training for anything here. I think that he was in camp, and I think he's coming in confident that he is in good shape. But there is a difference, of course, as we know, between fight shape and just being in shape. Are you a little bit surprised by these odds?
Yes and no, and I know it's a little cliche. Yes for everything you said. No, because I think the world is in love with not only Tom Aspinall, but the unknown about Sergei Pavlovich. People still ride the whole thing of what if we put him on his back like Alistair Overeem did? Well, guess what? We keep saying this and it doesn't happen. Curtis Blades couldn't do it. Who's a wrestler? He got knocked out. And Pavlovich also has got a sambo background, so it's not like this guy doesn't know how to wrestle or defend takedowns. But if Aspinall is able to get the fight to the floor quickly, he will have the advantage on the ground, the jiu-jitsu. Yes, I understand that. But I don't know how you go against someone in Sergei Pavlovich who was training for this fight, whether it was Jones, Stipe, God, it doesn't matter. You know, he knew, he felt that he was going to fight. And when it comes to a John Jones fight, you never know. So he was preparing for this. And he's so dangerous because if the fight stays on the feet, he carries the most insane power I think we've ever seen, other than like a Derek Lewis situation, right? And he beat Derek Lewis. And when you look at someone, Pavlovich, he doesn't push it. He doesn't like rush to knock people out. So he's not emptying the gas tank. And everyone's going to keep throwing that question mark at him, like, oh, what if he gasses around 2 or 3?
Yeah.
But we haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So how are we keep going against him? I learned my lesson several times. I'm taking Sergei Pavlovich, not only because I'm terrified of the man, I'm afraid of every reason. But he's the real-life Ivan Drago, but he's skilled. He doesn't swing for the fences like a Derek Lewis. He doesn't throw crazy stuff. He's calculated, he's well-trained, he's disciplined. And for Aspinall, you know, short notice, and if he can't get this fight to the floor, he may have the speed, but he doesn't have the power. So I will say this, I'm taking Pavlovich, but both of these guys will be heavyweight champion at some point in their career, because anything past this, like we saw Almeida, not cutting it. These two are the real deal for the future, and it will not be the only time they fight.
I'm not finding too much to disagree with you there. And you're right about Sergei. It's easy to sort of classify him as this like big swinger guy, but actually no. He referred to this fight when I was talking to him this week as a chess match, and skillfully, like he is coming in thinking that he's going to have to win this fight with skills, not just raw power. Let's take a look at the rest of this UFC 295 main card, starting with Jessica Andrade and Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern minus 210 now, which I understand, but stylistically, I could see some issues where Andrade could give her some trouble. How about you, or do you love Dern here?
I love
even at this price.
Yeah, I love Dern at the price. You know what? Andrade's last 3 fights been finished. Dern looked great in her last fight. Take this fight to the floor, get it done, path to victory for Dern. I'm riding with it. I don't care about the number. Give me Mackenzie Dern.
All right, and from there we go to Matt Frevola and Benoit Saint Denis. This fight could be fight of the night. It has that potential. What do you think of this one?
Not could be. It will be fight of the night. Frevola brings it. Saint Denis is an absolute animal. You have military fighting each other, going for the knockout. Give me steamroller Frevola. Everyone laughed at me when I took him over Dober. Wow. He won. I'm doing it again. Saint Denis will not get this fight to the floor.
Wow.
And Frevola's going to knock him out. Give me that at that plus number.
Okay, taking the underdog there.
Let's go.
Saint Denis, and then to round out the main card, Diego Lopez taking on Pat Sabatini. Very close odds here. Where are we going?
This is also going to be a very, very fun fight, and I really like Diego Lopez here at the plus money as well. Look, Sabatini can control you on the ground, but Lopez is so creative. We saw him in the envelope fight that it doesn't matter. Short notice, power grappler. He's creative. He doesn't stop. And even though Sabatini is excellent jiu-jitsu, I think Lopez can catch him here. Give me Diego at the plus money.
All right, guys, so that is the ESPN Plus pay-per-view main card, but of course we have the prelims to discuss here. You can find those on ESPN and ESPN Plus. As always, Ian, take it away. Give us your full picks for the UFC 295 prelims on Saturday.
Yes, sir. Let's start off with Usyk versus Costa. Give me Usyk. He looks so good in his debut, and he's going to have a full camp here. This line should be minus 280. He wins this fight. You knew I was going to go loopy here. I'll be honest, I think Ricci is going to keep it close. It would not shock me. It comes down to the third round. I think it's going to be the strength of loopy that gets it done. Rebecca at minus 625. Look, if you could throw him in a parlay, get value out of it, sure. Roosevelt Roberts taking on short notice and looked awful on the scale and missed weight. Rebecca's going to win this fight. Nazim Sadikov, I love this fight for him. He looked excellent in his last one. Vyacheslav, listen, great striker. No wrestling. Sadikov's going to put on a crazy pace, get it done. We're going to go with Jared Gordon here. I think this style matchup is perfect for him. Madsen is going to try to wrestle. Not the best cardio. Below average striking. We've seen Gordon beat guys better than that. And Brett, for my prop of the night, I'm going to take Jared Gordon win by decision at plus 110. Moving on to Castaneda versus Kang. This is another fight that got moved up, and I'm very interested in this because, number one, not only do I like Kang here, because Castaneda does not look good on the scale, also gets hit a lot, and Kang's got power. My long shot prop of the night at plus 1100 will be Kang to win by TKO or KO. Then we got Van versus Boras. I love what we saw out of Van in that first fight. Let's go there. And then last but not least, give me Emmers by decision. He did not look good on the scale, but we've seen Bazooka. Listen, Dennis is a very talented kid, but he can get held down and get held against the cage. Emmers will do that. And at plus 400, I love that play by decision.
Really nice work there, man. And I like throwing in the prop of the night, the long shot prop of the night. And then you have two parlays for us. You have a prelims parlay and a main card parlay. Let's start with the prelim parlay. What are we doing for this one?
You know, this wasn't even on purpose. It's just kind of the way it worked out. And I like splitting up the card a little bit. Prelim parlay. Give me Jamal Emmers, Van, and Jared Gordon. We're going to get plus 180 here. 2-1 favorites. I really think that all three of them should win. I don't know which one drops the ball here. I hope the answer is none. So we're going to go with that one at plus 180.
Okay, plus 180 for the prelims parlay, and then the main card parlay will be...
This is a little bit more like a long shot here. So we're going to go, even though I have over 1.5 as a pick earlier, I like Pereira to get this done. I feel like it's his time. Jiri a year out with his hands so low. Pereira just carries so much power. I think he gets it done. Give me Pavlovich at plus 100. Mackenzie Dern at minus 210. Matt Frivola and Diego Lopez. We're getting really solid odds there. So main card parlay, long shot parlay, whatever you want to call it. Let's win the parlay.
I'll call it the long shot parlay because that's nearly a 30-1 payout. That is long shot-esque, and I like that. You know, it's a close main card with a lot of close competitive fights. Let's try and run the table on it and hit a long shot parlay. Now, for the real business of the show, Parker's best bets.
And you know what? I've been falling in love with doing 6 picks. I really like that because if we get to a certain number, hopefully the last one takes us home. Give me Urseg. It's going to be chalky. I think this number should be higher. I don't see where he loses. I think he gets it done. Now, you know me. I don't like going over minus 200, but I just don't see Mackenzie Dern getting rocked. I love Jessica Andrade. Listen, she might be a potential Hall of Famer at some point, but the last 3 fights, all by finish losing. I think she's on the way out and Dern's on the way up. I'm going to go with Nazim Sadikov to get it done here at minus 130. Give me Kang at plus number. After his last fight, he looks so good, and Castaneda just gets hit all the time. Kang will have a power advantage. Let's take the plus money there. Pavlovich at plus 100. I can't go against the guy here. As good as Aspinall is, if this fight stays on the feet, I'm going with the power of Pavlovich. And last but not least, main event, over 1.5. Brett, that number, when I gave this to our producers, I think was minus 175. This thing is jumping because I think people are getting the same sense that I kind of put out there. I will still take it at minus 190, and those are going to be the best bets this week.
Yeah, you get a little nervous when everybody's thinking the same way, but I am with this main event, man. I just don't think we're gonna see something in the first round. I think we're gonna get a little bit of action between those two. They're just such elite light heavyweights. Very much looking forward to that and the heavyweight fight as well. Thank you so much for watching UFC Best Bets. As always, you can find the prelims again, I said, on ESPN and ESPN Plus. You can also find them right where you're watching this show on YouTube at ESPN MMA's account. You can find the live prelims there for UFC 295, and then as always, ESPN Plus for the main card. For Ian Parker and myself, thanks for joining us here in New York, and enjoy the fights. Hopefully, we will put a little bit of money into those bank accounts for you. Goodbye.